She survived rape, but the greatest pain was not inflicted by criminals, but by those who were supposed to protect her. Public humiliation at school, accusations instead of support, a suicide attempt, and the loss of a child all came as a result of words that should have been taught but instead broken. Chapter 1. Lost Security. Springdale, Illinois is a small, quiet town where everyone knows each other by name. It was here that Anna Brooks lived, a widow and single mother who, after the tragic death of her husband, was left alone with her young daughter. Her daughter, Annabelle, was the kind of child any teacher could say, a true sunshine. She loved to read, wrote short stories in her diary, and dreamed of becoming a journalist. In the courtroom, West Middle District Court, Illinois. Judge Jessica Moore, a reserved middle-aged woman with a penetrating gaze, surveys the courtroom. The plaintiff is Anna Brooks, seated on the right, clutching the hand of her daughter Annabelle, who looks pale, focused, and broken at the same time. She does not look in the direction of the defendant, the school principal, Mrs. Irene Walsh. "Miss Brooks," says the judge, "please tell us about the events that brought you to court." Anna sighs. The voice trembles, but there is unshakable determination in it. "I am filing this lawsuit not only for myself and my daughter. I do this for the sake of all children who can be broken not only by criminals, but also by those who are supposed to protect them." There is silence in the hall. "Tell me about that day," says the judge softly. Anna nodded. It was an ordinary Monday. Annabelle stayed after school, preparing for the competition, writing an essay about internet safety. I also thought about how symbolic. She was returning home through the park, as usual. But that evening, she did not come on time. Her phone was silent. Anna's voice breaks off. She swallows tears. She appeared 2 hours later, all scratched. The clothes are torn. The eyes are empty. She only whispered, "They caught me." The judge takes notes. The defendant's lawyer writes something on a piece of paper. "What happened next?" asks the prosecutor. "We went to the police, then to the hospital. She was examined. It became clear what happened." Anna falls silent. She didn't speak anymore. She closed in on herself. "I no longer wrote in my diary. I didn't dream anymore. The police searched for the attackers, but nothing." "Do you mean that the case was closed?" clarifies the prosecutor. "She was frozen. The culprits were not found. But my baby girl, she stopped being a baby that night." Judge Moore looks up. It's hard to listen, but it is even more difficult to live. The court understands the seriousness of the charges. We will listen to each side. She looks in the direction of the defendant. "Mrs. Walsh, you will have the opportunity to speak." In response, only a cold nod. The judge knocks with the gavel. The court openly announces the hearing of the case, Anna Brooks v. Irene Walsh. The charge is bringing to suicide attempt due to moral humiliation of a minor. The amount of the claim is $500,000. The trial begins, and with him a story that will reveal the darkest sides of human indifference. Chapter 2. Silence in the eyes of the witness. "The prosecutor may call the first witness." Judge Moore's voice rang out. The prosecutor, a young but confident Lisa Davis, stood up and nodded. Her voice was clear. "Annabelle Brooks is on trial." The hall became even quieter than before. There was a faint click of heels as the girl stood up. Her figure was fragile, thin. Her hair is in a low ponytail. Her eyes are blank. She sat down at the witness table with her hands on her knees. "Annabelle," Lisa began softly, "I know how hard it is to remember, but we are here to establish the truth. Are you ready to answer a few questions?" Annabelle nodded. Her voice was barely audible. "Yes, I'm ready. Tell me, please, what happened that evening when you were returning home." The girl sighed. Her eyes remained dry, but her voice sounded tired. "I stayed after the lessons. I wrote an essay. It was already dark. I decided to walk through the park, as usual. It was quiet there, until it got scary. They were wearing hoods. I didn't see faces. One grabbed me, the other." Her voice broke. Someone snorted in the hall. Anna, the mother, sat with her head down, clenching her fists. The judge gently intervened. If necessary, we can take a break. No, Annabel whispered. I want you to know. They left me, in the bushes. I could not get up. The phone disappeared. I walked home. Lisa Davis cautiously asked the following question. What happened at school after that? Did someone help you? Annabel was silent for a moment, then said, None of the students knew. But Mom decided to tell the headmistress, Mrs. Walsh. She said she would support it. But in a week, she called a meeting. All our teachers, students from my class. And what happened at the meeting? The question sounded quiet, but clear. She said, that girls should know the consequences of frivolous behavior, that I am an example. She said that low moral responsibility leads to this, and everyone understood that it was about me. A hum was heard in the hall. I've never been so embarrassed, Annabelle said, looking directly at Irene Walsh for the first time. She betrayed me, and after that, I decided that I didn't want to live anymore. The courtroom fell into silence. The story was just beginning. Chapter 3. Words That Kill. Judge, rose the defendant's lawyer, the defense requests that the principal of the school, Miss Irene Walsh, be given the floor. Judge Moore barely nodded. Miss Walsh, come to the podium. You have the right to speak. Irene Walsh stood up confidently, though her fingers were shaking. She was a woman in her 50s, wearing a suit with perfectly pressed lapels, with the same posture she used to read the rulers in the schoolyard. I was the principal of Springdale High for over 20 years, she began, and she always cared about the safety and moral education of students. I knew Annabel. She was a good girl. I am very sorry for what happened to her. But I am not to blame for what happened after. There was a dull whisper in the hall. The judge raised an eyebrow. I ask you to refrain from evaluations until the end of the speech. I just wanted to help. She started behaving, strangely. Conversations and gossip started at school. The girls from the class saw how she was scrolling through children's things on the phone. Once she said, I'm going to be a mother, and it's cool. It was not normal, I agree. And that's why you organized the meeting. Prosecutor Davis intervened. I organized the meeting because school is not a street. If we don't show children that there are limits, it's not school anymore, it's chaos. I spoke in general, did not name names. I only said that girls should monitor their behavior and appearance. But everyone understood who it was about, intervened the judge. Did you know that Annabelle was sexually assaulted? Yes, Mother told me, but she herself said, we have nothing to be ashamed of. Do you not see anything humiliating in your words? Lisa Davis asked. No, Irene answered loudly. I performed the duties of a teacher. I'm sorry she took it as an attack. But if every girl brags about being pregnant at 14, we'll lose control. Annabel pursed her lips. Anger appeared in her eyes. She stood up. I never bragged. I tried to survive. The judge hit her gavel. The next hearing will take place tomorrow. The court announces a break. The hall slowly emptied, and the shadow of the words that were spoken out loud remained in the air, and everyone knew that nothing would be the same after that. Chapter 4. A Note on the Windowsill. The next day, the courtroom was even more tense. There are new faces in the hall, journalists from local news channels, human rights activists, several young women with posters in support of Annabel. All this was unusual for a town like Springdale. Judge Moore opened the hearing with a short tap of the gavel. Please, let's continue the hearing. Prosecutor Davis, who is your next witness? Anna Brooks, mother of the victim. Anna got up. She looked exhausted, but there was strength in her posture. She walked up to the stand, looked at the judge, and then at Irene Walsh. Mrs. Brooks, Lisa Davis began, you said that after the meeting your daughter attempted suicide. Can you tell me how it happened? Anna swallowed air. Her voice was even, but every word hit like a hammer. She returned home silently. She locked herself in the room. I didn't press. I wanted to give her peace. Half an hour later, I heard the window open. Then a scream. Terrible, torn. I ran out. And she saw her little girl on the ground. She was lying there, not moving. The hall was as quiet as a funeral. She survived, Anna continued, but she lost her child and a chance to have children in the future. A miscarriage occurred in the urgent. In the hospital, on the table, among her things, I found a note. If you want, I will read it. Please, said the judge softly. Anna took out a yellowed piece of paper. Her voice trembled. Mom, I'm sorry. I can't anymore. After what Mrs. Walsh did to me, I don't want to live anymore. Sorry if you can. Your daughter, Annabelle. Did you inform the police about this suicide attempt? Lisa asked. Yes, they started the investigation again. They interviewed her, me, and the doctors. And finally, they opened a case against the director for attempting suicide. The prosecutor nodded and turned to the judge. Your Honor, I would like to attach a note to the case file. Joining, Moore said dryly. Anna took a step back before returning to her seat and added, looking directly at Irene. My daughter survived rape, but she almost died not at the hands of criminals, and from words. Your words. And this time Irene Walsh lowered her eyes. Chapter 5. Sentence for 2 years. The next meeting was scheduled without an audience. Judge Moore banned videotaping and allowed only official reporters to take notes. This time it was about the legal responsibility of Irene Walsh and the materials of the criminal proceedings opened after Annabelle's hospitalization were considered. Miss Walsh, began Prosecutor Lisa Davis, according to the testimony of Annabelle Brooks, her mother, and doctors, your words and public statement were the trigger for the suicide attempt. Do you deny it? Irene sat with a straight back. Her voice was dry. I do not deny that there were meetings, but I did not force her to jump from the window. No one says that you are forced, but your public humiliation, taking into account her conditioned pregnancy after rape, was moral pressure, which, according to the criminal code, qualifies as cruel treatment. You are an experienced teacher. You should have foreseen the consequences. I just wanted to protect other children, give them a signal. You gave the signal, but not those who need it. You have told the victim that they are to blame for their pain. The judge reviewed the case for almost 2 hours. She studied medical reports, listened to an audio recording of a school meeting, which was provided by one of the students. The words really sounded there. There are girls whose appearance and behavior provoke tragedies, and now they bear the consequences. When Moore finished reading the last document, she looked up. Miss Walsh, the court is making its decision. You plead guilty to causing moral harm to a minor, which led to a suicide attempt. The sentence is 2 years of probation with mandatory completion of a course on the ethics of pedagogical activity and community service in the program of psychological rehabilitation of victims of violence. Irene did not move. Her face did not change. Annabelle sat to the side. She was silent, but her fingers gripped the edge of the bench so hard that her knuckles turned white. When the judge announced the verdict, she did not cry. She simply looked at her mother, and for the first time in the entire court, she smiled weakly. It was not a victory, but it was a step, and that was the end of at least one part of this dark story. And what do you think? Was the judge's verdict fair? Write your thoughts in the comments below the video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next crazier.